This may be the strangest trial in human history. A courtroom, a judge, a guilty verdict, and a defendant who had already been dead for 9 months. His body had already been buried. His funeral had already taken place. Yet somehow he was brought back into a courtroom, dressed in expensive papal robes, placed on a throne, and forced to face his accusers. It sounds like something from a horror movie, but this actually happened. What happened next would become one of the strangest events in human history. To understand this unbelievable story, we need to travel back to Rome in the year 897. Life in medieval Rome was very different from today. That the church wasn't just a religious institution. It was also one of the most powerful political forces in Europe. Kings wanted the support of the Pope, noble families fought for influence, and powerful groups constantly competed for control. Behind the beautiful churches and ceremonies was a world full of rivalries, betrayals, and ambition. At the center of this story was Pope Formosus. He had spent decades serving the church. He was respected by many people. But he was also involved in political conflicts that created powerful enemies. During his papacy, Formosus supported certain rulers and opposed others. These decisions would later come back to haunt him, even after his death. When Formosus died in 896, most people believed his story had finally ended. They were wrong. Rome was deeply divided. Different political factions wanted power. Some supported Formosus, others hated him. The struggle wasn't only about religion. It was about influence, alliances, and control. As different groups fought each other, old grudges continued to grow, and one man in particular could not let go of his hatred. His name was Stephen VI. When Stephen VI became pope, he inherited more than just the position. He inherited the political battles of the past. Historians still debate exactly why Stephen hated Formosus so much. Some believe it was politics. Others believe it was pressure from powerful allies. Whatever the reason, Stephen became obsessed with destroying Formosus's legacy. Simply criticizing a dead pope was not enough. He wanted something much more dramatic. Something nobody had ever seen before. 9 months after Formosus had been buried, Stephen issued a shocking order. The dead pope's body was to be removed from its grave. Workers opened the tomb. The remains were taken out and prepared for a trial. Think about that for a moment. A trial for someone who had already been dead for nearly a year. Even by medieval standards, many people found the idea disturbing. But Stephen continued. The corpse was dressed in papal clothing. It was placed on a throne. Church officials gathered, spectators watched, and the trial officially began. This event would later become known as the Cadaver Synod, one of the most bizarre trials ever recorded. The sight must have been terrifying. A dead pope sitting in front of a courtroom while people debated his actions. Because Formosus could not answer questions, a young priest was assigned to speak for him. The situation was absurd. Stephen shouted accusations. The priest nervously responded on behalf of the dead man. Witnesses watched in disbelief. The charges focused on Formosus's actions while he was alive. Stephen claimed he had broken church laws. He claimed Formosus never should have become pope, but everyone already knew how the trial would end. The verdict had been decided long before it began. At the end of the trial, Formosus was declared guilty. His decisions as pope were cancelled. His authority was stripped away. His reputation was officially destroyed. But Stephen wasn't finished. The punishment would continue. Even though the accused had been dead for months, what happened next shocked Rome. The papal robes were removed. The body was publicly humiliated. Historical records state that the fingers used for blessings were cut off. Then the corpse was dragged through the city. Finally, it was thrown into the Tiber River. The humiliation was complete, or so Stephen believed. But the people of Rome were watching, and many were horrified. News of the trial spread quickly. Many citizens believed the event had gone too far. Even people who disliked Formosus were disturbed by what they had seen. Rumors spread throughout Rome. Some claimed disasters and bad luck were signs of divine anger. Public opinion began turning against Stephen. The Pope, who had humiliated a dead man, was now becoming increasingly unpopular, and his enemies were waiting. Eventually, Stephen VI lost power. He was arrested. Thrown into prison, and not long afterward, he died there. Most historians believe he was strangled. Meanwhile, Formosus's reputation slowly recovered. Later church leaders reversed many of Stephen's decisions. The Cadaver Synod was condemned. More than 1,100 years later, historians still discuss this unbelievable event, not because of religion, but because it shows how far power, revenge, and hatred can push people. A dead pope, a courtroom, a guilty verdict, and a trial that remains one of the strangest stories in history. More than 1,100 years later, the Cadaver Synod remains one of the strangest events in human history. A dead pope, a courtroom, and a guilty verdict. If this story surprised you, let us know in the comments, and subscribe for more unbelievable stories from history.